Listen carefully. Because this is not just another motivational speech. This is a warning. And at the same time, it's your greatest advantage. There comes a moment in life when everything starts falling apart. Not slowly, not gently, but all at once. Plans collapse. People leave. Trust breaks. Effort feels useless. And the world suddenly becomes silent. You sit there wondering, why is this happening to me? Why now? Why everything at once? And no one answers. But what if I told you? Backhand index pointing right, this phase is not here to destroy you. Backhand index pointing right, this phase is not your ending. Backhand index pointing right, this phase is manufacturing something inside you. Something dangerous. Yes, dangerous. Not dangerous to others, but dangerous to limits. Dangerous to comfort. Dangerous to the weak version of yourself. Because when life becomes dark, you start seeing things clearly. No distractions. No illusions. No fake support. Just truth. And truth is brutal. You realize, not everyone is loyal. Not everyone believes in you. Not everyone wants you to win. And that realization? It hurts. But it also does something powerful. It wakes you up. Most people, they break in this phase. They complain. They blame. They quit. They say, life is unfair. I tried, but it didn't work. Maybe I'm not meant for this. And just like that, they return to a safe, average life. But a few people, a very few, they do something different. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? They start asking, what is this trying to make me become? That question changes everything. Because now, you are no longer a victim. You are a student of your pain. And pain is the greatest teacher you will ever have. It teaches you discipline when motivation dies. It teaches you strength when support disappears. It teaches you focus when everything is uncertain. Let me tell you something most people don't understand. Fire comfort creates weak minds. Fire struggle creates dangerous ones. When everything is going well, you relax. You slow down. You depend on things staying easy. But when life hits you, when it pushes you into darkness, you adapt. You start thinking differently. You become sharper. More aware. More calculated. You stop trusting easily. You stop wasting time. You stop chasing approval. And slowly, a new version of you is being built. A version that doesn't need validation. A version that doesn't fear rejection. A version that doesn't break under pressure. That's the dangerous mindset. It's the mindset of someone who has nothing to lose, but everything to prove. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed? The strongest people you know, they didn't have easy lives. They were tested, rejected, ignored, doubted. And instead of breaking, they transformed. Because darkness does one thing better than anything else. Backhand index pointing right, it removes illusions. In the dark, you don't see fake opportunities. You don't see fake people. You don't see shortcuts. You only see reality. And reality forces you to grow. This is where discipline is born. Not when you feel good, but when you don't. This is where focus is built. Not when things are easy, but when everything is trying to distract you from your goal. This is where resilience is created. Not when you're winning, but when you keep going despite losing. You see, The dark phase is not empty. It is construction time. Every sleepless night. Every silent tear. Every moment of doubt. It's shaping your mind. And one day, you'll wake up and realize you're not the same person anymore. Things that once hurt you no longer affect you. Things that once scared you now feel small. Things that once stopped you now push you forward. That's when you become dangerous. Dangerous to fear. Dangerous to failure. Dangerous to average thinking. But here's the truth most people won't tell you. Warning: this transformation is not comfortable. You will feel alone. Even when people are around you. You will feel misunderstood. Because you're changing. And not everyone can understand growth. You will feel tired. Because growth demands energy. But listen to me carefully. Backhand index pointing right. This is the price of becoming unstoppable. You don't build a powerful mindset in comfort. You build it in chaos. And right now, if you are in that dark phase, if things feel heavy, confusing, painful, then understand this. Fire, you are not falling apart. Fire, you are being rebuilt. Stronger. Sharper. Smarter. So don't run from this phase. Don't escape it. Don't numb it with distractions. Face it. Learn from it. Use it. Because the same darkness that breaks most people is the same darkness that creates legends. And the question is, backhand index pointing right, which one are you going to be? At some point, you stop crying. Not because the pain is gone, but because you've felt it for too long. Something inside you shifts. You become quiet. Not weak. Not broken. Just different. You start observing more than reacting. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't understand you. You stop chasing those who already decided to leave. And slowly, pain stops being your enemy and starts becoming your weapon. Let me explain this carefully. Most people, when they feel pain, they try to escape it. They distract themselves. They avoid thinking. They numb themselves with comfort. But strong people, they do the opposite. They sit with the pain. They analyze it. They ask, backhand index pointing right, what is this teaching me? Backhand index pointing right, where did I go wrong? Backhand index pointing right, how do I make sure this never happens again? And that is where power is born. Because pain carries information. Every failure, every rejection, every betrayal, it leaves behind a lesson. But only if you're strong enough to face it. You see, the dangerous mindset is not built by motivation. Motivation is temporary. It comes and goes. The dangerous mindset is built by discipline fueled by pain. When you remember how it felt to be ignored, to be doubted, to be left behind, you don't need motivation anymore. You have something stronger. You have fire. And that fire says, I will never be in that position again. That's when your actions change. You wake up early, not because you feel like it, but because you refuse to stay average. You work when you're tired, because you remember what failure feels like. You stay focused, because distractions once cost you too much. This is not obsession. This is transformation. Let me tell you a harsh truth. Backhand index pointing right, soft people don't survive hard times. Backhand index pointing right and hard times don't create soft people. So if life is making you uncomfortable right now, it's not punishing you. It's preparing you. Because the next version of you cannot be weak. Think about it. If everything stayed easy, you would never grow. You would never evolve. You would never discover your true strength. Comfort keeps you where you are. Pain forces you to move. And movement is the beginning of change. But here's where most people fail. They feel pain. But they don't use it. They complain about it. They talk about it. They let it define them, instead of letting it refine them. There is a difference. Pain can either make you backhand index pointing right emotional and unstable, or backhand index pointing right focused and unstoppable. The choice is yours. You have to decide. Will this break me? Or will this build me? Because it cannot do both. Let's go deeper. When you start turning pain into power, you begin to develop something rare. High voltage emotional control. You stop reacting instantly. You stop letting small things disturb your peace. You stop giving energy to things that don't matter. Why? Because you've been through worse. You've already felt real pain. So small problems, they don't shake you anymore. That's dangerous. Because now, you are calm in chaos. While others panic. You think. While others quit. You continue. While others complain. You execute. That's the difference. And it doesn't happen overnight. It happens in those silent nights. When you're alone with your thoughts. When no one is clapping for you. When no one is supporting you. That's where real growth happens. Let me say something powerful. Fire the world doesn't reward effort. Fire it rewards consistency. And consistency is built in the dark. Not when people are watching. But when no one is. That's why this phase is so important. Because right now, no one sees your struggle. No one understands your pressure. No one feels your pain. But later, everyone will see your results. And they'll call it luck. They'll say, overnight success. But they didn't see the nights you stayed awake. They didn't see the moments you almost quit. They didn't see the battles you fought inside your mind. That's your advantage. Because you know the truth. And the truth is, backhand index pointing right, you earned this. Let me push you further. If you really want to build a dangerous mindset, you must become ruthless with certain things. Ruthless with your time. Ruthless with your habits. Ruthless with your standards. Not rude to people, but disciplined with yourself. That means no more wasting hours on things that don't matter. No more excuses. No more, I'll start tomorrow. Because tomorrow is where weak decisions live. Dangerous people act today. Even when they don't feel ready. Even when they're scared. Even when it's hard. Because they understand something most people don't. Backhand index pointing right action creates clarity. You don't wait to feel confident. You act, and confidence follows. And every time you take action despite fear, you become stronger. That's how you rebuild yourself. Brick by brick. Habit by habit. Decision by decision. Until one day, you look in the mirror. And you don't recognize the old you anymore. The weak version. The emotional version. The confused version. It's gone. Now, there is only focus. Only discipline. Only purpose. And that is a dangerous mindset. But we're not done yet. Because in the next part, we go even deeper. There comes a stage in your life where you start pulling away. Not because you hate people. Not because you're angry. but because you're changing. And suddenly, the things that once excited you don't excite you anymore. The conversations feel shallow. The jokes feel empty. The distractions feel pointless. And you begin to ask yourself, backhand index pointing right, why do I feel so alone, even when I'm surrounded by people? Let me tell you the truth. You are not alone. You are evolving. This is called the isolation phase. And it is one of the most powerful and most misunderstood phases of growth. Because during this time, you lose interest in fitting in. And you become focused on standing out. You stop chasing attention. And start chasing purpose. You stop needing approval. And start trusting yourself. But this shift, it comes with a price. Warning: you will feel lonely. Not because you have no people, but because fewer people understand you. You'll notice some friendships fade. Some connections weaken. Some people drift away. And it hurts. Because these were people you once laughed with, shared moments with, trusted. But here's the hard truth. Backhand index pointing right, not everyone is meant to grow with you. Some people are part of your past, not your future. And holding on to them will only slow down your transformation. This is where strength is tested. Because it's easy to stay the same, just to keep people comfortable. But it takes courage to outgrow environments that no longer serve you. Let me say something powerful. Fire growth requires separation. You cannot become a new person while holding on to your old habits, old mindset, old circle. Something has to go. And sometimes, that something is people. Now listen carefully. This doesn't mean you become cold or heartless. It means you become focused. You protect your energy. You protect your time. You protect your vision. Because now, you understand how valuable they are. In this phase, you spend more time alone. And for many people, that feels uncomfortable. Because when you're alone, you can't escape yourself. No distractions. No noise. No validation. Just you, and your thoughts. And that's where real transformation happens. Because now, you are forced to face everything. Your fears. Your doubts. Your insecurities. Your past mistakes. And instead of running, you confront them. This is how you build mental strength. Because every time you face yourself, and you don't break, you become stronger. Let me explain something most people never understand. Backhand index pointing right, weak people fear being alone. Backhand index pointing right, strong people are built in solitude. Because solitude teaches you things that noise never can. It teaches you clarity. You start understanding what you really want. Not what society told you. Not what others expect from you. But what you truly want. It teaches you independence. You stop relying on others for motivation, for validation, for direction. You become self-driven. And that is dangerous. Because now, no one can control your path. It also teaches you discipline. Because when no one is watching, when no one is pushing you, when no one is expecting anything from you, and you still show up, you still work, you still stay focused. That's real discipline. Not for attention. Not for praise. But for yourself. That's when you become unstoppable. But let's be real. This phase is not easy. There will be nights when you question everything. Is this worth it? Why am I doing this? Why does it feel so hard? And in those moments, you will be tempted to go back. Back to comfort. Back to old habits. Back to familiar people. Because it's easier. But listen to me very carefully. Backhand index pointing right. If you go back, you go backwards. Growth is uncomfortable for a reason. Because it's taking you somewhere most people never reach. So instead of running from the loneliness, use it. Turn it into focus. Turn it into clarity. Turn it into strength. Because one day, this same loneliness will become your greatest advantage. While others need noise to feel okay, you'll be calm in silence. While others depend on people to stay motivated, you'll be self-driven. While others break under pressure, you'll stay steady. That's power. And that power comes from this phase. So if you feel alone right now, if your circle is getting smaller, if your mindset is changing, don't panic. Fire, you are not losing people. Fire, you are losing distractions. And what you're gaining is far more valuable. You're gaining focus, clarity, discipline, strength. And most importantly, you're gaining yourself. But we're going even deeper next. Now we step into the most intense part of the transformation. This is where most people hesitate. This is where most people turn back. But if you go through this, you don't just improve. You become someone completely different. Microphone. The dark phase of your life is building a dangerous mindset. Part 4, Killing Your Old Self, the Identity Shift, Fire. At some point in your journey, you realize something uncomfortable. Backhand index pointing right. Growth is not about adding more. Backhand index pointing right. It's about removing what no longer belongs. And the hardest thing you will ever have to remove is your old self. Yes. The habits you once loved. The mindset you once believed in. The version of you that felt normal. Because that version cannot take you where you want to go. Let me ask you something. If your current mindset was enough, backhand index pointing right, would you still be struggling? Backhand index pointing right, would you still feel stuck? Backhand index pointing right, would you still be searching for more? No. Which means one thing. Warning: the old version of you has reached its limit. And now, it must be replaced. This is not easy. Because your identity is built over years. The way you think. The way you react. The way you handle problems. It feels natural. It feels comfortable. It feels like you. But here's the truth. Backhand index pointing right, just because it feels like you, doesn't mean it's helping you. And that's where the real battle begins. Because now, you are not fighting the world. You are fighting yourself. Your old habits will resist. They will whisper. Take it easy. Skip today. You've done enough. Start tomorrow. Your old mindset will try to pull you back. Because it wants comfort. It wants familiarity. It wants safety. But growth requires the opposite. It requires discomfort. It requires discipline. It requires change. And this is where you make a decision that defines your future. Backhand index pointing right, do I stay who I am? Or, backhand index pointing right, do I become who I need to be? Because you cannot be both. Let me say that again. Fire, you cannot grow and stay the same. Something must die. And that something is the weaker version of you. Now don't misunderstand this. You are not destroying yourself. You are upgrading yourself. But upgrades require letting go of outdated versions. Just like software. Old patterns must be deleted. Old excuses must be removed. Old beliefs must be replaced. Let's get specific. If you want to become stronger, you must kill the habit of quitting. If you want to become successful, you must kill the habit of procrastination. If you want to become confident, you must kill the need for validation. If you want to become disciplined, you must kill comfort addiction. This is not motivational talk. This is reality. Because your results are directly connected to your identity. Let me explain this simply. Backhand index pointing right, you don't get what you want. Backhand index pointing right, you get what you are. So if you want different results, you must become a different person. And becoming a different person requires uncomfortable decisions. It means saying no when you want to say yes. Working when you want to rest. Staying focused when you want to distract yourself. It means choosing long-term success over short-term comfort. Every single day. This is how identity shifts. Not in one big moment, but in small, repeated actions. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you weaken the old you. Every time you take action despite fear, you strengthen the new you. And slowly, the balance shifts. The old version fades. The new version rises. Until one day, you wake up, and the things that were once hard feel normal. Discipline becomes natural. Focus becomes automatic. Hard work becomes your default. That's when the transformation is complete. But here's something most people don't realize. Warning: this phase feels uncomfortable because you are between identities. You are no longer your old self. But you're not fully your new self yet. That creates confusion, doubt, uncertainty. You might feel like, I don't know who I am anymore. And that's okay. Because you are in the middle of becoming. And becoming is always messy. But trust this process. Because on the other side of this discomfort is clarity. On the other side of this struggle is power. On the other side of this transformation is a version of you that you once thought was impossible. A version that is focused, disciplined, fearless, unstoppable. That's the dangerous mindset. But we're not finished yet. Because in the next part, we bring everything together. There is a version of you that doesn't quit, that doesn't complain, that doesn't wait for motivation. A version of you that shows up every single day, no matter how you feel. That version is not born. It is built. Built in the dark. Built in pain. Built in isolation. Built through discipline. And now, after everything you've faced, you are closer than ever to becoming that person. But listen carefully. Because this is where most people make their final mistake. They slow down. They think, I've suffered enough. I've worked hard already. Maybe I can relax now. And just like that, they lose momentum. Let me be real with you. Backhand index pointing right growth doesn't stop just because you're tired. Backhand index pointing right success doesn't wait just because you're uncomfortable. This is the phase where you must become relentless. Not emotional. Not distracted. Not inconsistent. Relentless. That means you do the work, even when you don't feel like it. You stay focused, even when things get boring. You keep going, even when results are slow. Because now, you understand something powerful. Backhand index pointing right consistency beats intensity. Anyone can go hard for one day. Anyone can feel motivated for a week. But very few can stay consistent for months, for years. That's what separates winners from everyone else. And that's what makes you dangerous. Because now, you don't rely on feelings. You rely on systems. You wake up and execute. Not because you're inspired, but because it's who you are. This is identity at its highest level. Let me break it down. You don't try to be disciplined anymore. Backhand index pointing right, you are disciplined. You don't try to stay focused. Backhand index pointing right, you are focused. You don't try to work hard. Backhand index pointing right, you are the type of person who works hard. That's the shift. And once that happens, everything changes. Because now, nothing can stop you. Not failure. Not rejection. Not delays. Not criticism. Why? Because you've already survived worse. You've already been in the dark. You've already felt the pain. You've already faced yourself. So what can possibly break you now? Nothing. This is the mindset of someone who becomes unstoppable. But let me remind you of something important. This mindset comes with responsibility. Because being dangerous is not about destroying others. It's about mastering yourself. It's about controlling your thoughts, your actions, your emotions. Because real power is self-control. Anyone can react. Anyone can get angry. Anyone can quit. But not everyone can stay calm under pressure. Can stay disciplined under stress. Can stay focused when everything is trying to distract them. That's rare. And rare people create extraordinary lives. Now let me tell you what happens next. When you fully step into this mindset, people will notice. They'll see your focus, your discipline, your results. And suddenly, the same people who doubted you will start asking, backhand index pointing right, how did you do it? And you'll smile. Because they didn't see the dark phase. They didn't see the pain. They didn't see the loneliness. They didn't see the sacrifices. But you did. And that's why you're here. Stronger. Sharper. Unstoppable. Let me leave you with this. Fire, the dark phase, was never your enemy. Fire, it was your training ground. It broke your weakness. It built your strength. It shaped your mindset. And now, you have a choice. Backhand index pointing right, go back to who you were. Or, backhand index pointing right, step fully into who you've become. Because the world doesn't need another average person. It needs someone who is focused, disciplined, relentless. It needs someone like you. So from this moment on, no more excuses. No more waiting. No more doubt. Walk like someone who has been through hell and came back stronger. Think like someone who cannot be broken. Act like someone who refuses to lose. Because you didn't survive the dark phase just to go back to the light and stay small. You survived it to become dangerous.